Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tier List Tuesday. Today we're going to be doing a tier list featuring the Galarian Gallery Pokemon. I've decided to combine the Galarian Gallery art rares and secret art rares into one list because doing them separately there's just not enough to do like there was with character rares and character super rares. Essentially, obviously we have the scale here, just going to fix the colors because it's always wrong on TCG Player and I don't like that. Essentially, we're just going to rank them all, how much I like them, not based on competitive viability or anything like that, though I am a player, so sometimes I have my biases towards ones that I get to play in decks. So, now that we've fixed the colors, here we go. Starting off with Hisuian Voltorb by Hyogonosuke. This one is a very cool artwork, but honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the art gallery, or the art rare gallery, in that they gave a lot less competitively viable cards. The Galarian Gallery spots, which feels like a waste. This card has like never been used in a deck because the card is not at all good. It is cute, so I'm gonna give it a B tier. I don't hate it, it's just, man, it's kind of a bit of a wasted spot. The next one right here, Kricketune. This one's really good, A tier. Really nice artwork. There's a few small decks that Kricketune can be played in, as well as it being able to be used in Gym Leader Challenge if that's your thing. It is a very cool card though, and I'm happy that it got a art rare. Next up we have the Saiyaseria Magmortar and Electivire. This is the Magmortar card though, whereas Electivire has its own card over here. To tell the truth, I was not at all expecting these guys to get cards because the cards weren't competitively viable, though I'm not going to complain because I do like them. So I'm a little bit biased in this regard. I'm going to put this one up in A tier. I quite like it. It's a pretty like campfire scene out in the snow. It gives a lot of character to these two. Next up we have the Tomokazu Komiya Oricorio. Is a competitively playable one in Mew VMAX. The art is not bad. Obviously Komiya is known for his acid-induced artwork that makes you look like you're on drugs, but frankly it's not my thing. I like some of his artwork, this one not so much. This one's just okay, B tier. Next we have the Lapras. Might be a hot take, I don't like this at all. I hesitate to put it in F tier because I don't actively dislike it. I just don't like it at all. Not a big fan of Lapras, not a big fan of this card. Yeah, that's about all I got to say. Next up we have the Taira Ikitsu Manaphy. This one is really, really good, A tier. Probably the best out of the ones we've seen so far. I just really, really like the artwork on it. You can see like the deep ocean beneath it with all the Pokemon swimming. That's what these art rares are good for. I liked character rares more because they have the characters, but if you're going to do these art rares, it's really cool when you put lots of Pokemon on there. Next up we have the Keldeo. This one's a great art, but again, really wasted slot on a completely... I mean, they did it with Lapras too. Like, Lapras is not a good card. Magmortar is not a good card. This Keldeo, though, absolutely awful card. But this is a pretty artwork. I'm gonna give it B tier. Keldeo is a Pokemon I don't particularly like. Give me some real My Little Pony vibes going. Next up we have Electivire. This one's not as good as the Magmortar, honestly. It's kind of funny looking, goofy looking, so I don't dislike it. We're going to put it in B tier. It is very funny, if nothing else. This is going to be an editing nightmare, because I'm going to have to do like all 60 of these. Next up we have the... It's not... Is it Toxtricity or is it Rillaboom? It's Toxtricity. I don't like Toxtricity as a Pokemon. I know that might be controversial because people really like Toxtricity. I don't. He looks like something someone would stick up their back end, so I'm not a big fan of him, and I think the low amped form is really gross looking, whereas the high amped form is just alright. Rillaboom is cool, but he's kind of the backdrop. Not a bad artwork. We're going to put it in C tier. Next up I have the Mew surrounded by all the Pokemon. This is one I really want on PTCGO. Wasn't able to pull any, unfortunately. I do need 4 of them for a lot of my decks, so we're going to put it in S tier, though. The artwork's great. It's a card that's playable that I want to use. It just hits all the nails. Similar thing here, Lunatone, card that's playable in the Luna Rocks deck. If you love having your little pile deck on PTCGO, then you can play that, and it's a gorgeous so-so artwork. Next up we have the Deoxys with all of the single Rapid Strike and Fusion Strike tools there. You can see like the scrolls and the Welcoming Lantern and the Cross Transceiver and all of that. That's not the Cross Transceiver. It's like Cross Switcher, not Cross Transceiver. Cross Transceiver is a card from 2011. So Deoxys here, pretty nice. Honestly though, I think I like the pre-release art better than this one. It's not bad, but it's just like C tier. Better than this one, but not as good as these artworks up here. This one next is really pretty. For those who don't know, this art right here was drawn by the manga artist behind Land of the Lustrous, and fitting that the artist who draws a manga about gemstone people would draw a gemstone Pokemon. It is a quite nice card. It is a playable card in a few decks. Quite nice. We're going to put it up in A tier. Next one, just absolutely one of my favorites, Comfey. I was able to pull 4 of these on PTCGO. Very, very lucky in that regard. Very, very blessed out of my packs to be able to pull multiple of Comfeys, not to mention 4. I didn't even get 2 of any of the other ones, and I pulled 4 Comfey, which is the one I'd want to pull 4 of the most, honestly, out of all of these. So if you couldn't tell, it's going to go in S tier. The artwork is great. I use this over a T0 artwork, which the pre-release promo is T0 artwork. So if you know me, T0 is an absolutely incredible artist, my favorite artist in the TCG right now. And when I'm using an art over a T0 art, it means it's pretty good. Next up we have the Soul Rock. I believe this was drawn by someone who worked on the Mother franchise. So if you like the Mother games, if you've played those, Earthbound, I guess the title's also called, but I just call it Mother for simplicity's sake. I actually have played Mother 3, but I didn't get through it. I got like an hour into it on a phone emulator and then forgot about it. So it was fun for what I played, though. It's an RPG series, and it's a pretty nice artwork. I think like the backdrop itself kind of would leave this at C, but like the flowers are really pretty, so I'm going to put it at B tier. I do enjoy it more than I did originally because the flowers are just really, really pretty. Next up we have the Absol here. Do not know who illustrated this, but it is a very, very pretty card. S tier. Not a very playable card, but a very pretty card, and I'm a big fan of it. It's one I'd like to pull in real life. On PTCGO, not really. Next up we have the, I forget this Pokemon's name, Thievul, and it's the Baffling Thievul. Absolutely unplayable card. The ability is way, way too specific. The artwork's pretty good, but it's not my favorite. I get what they're going for here is like it's kind of like a spy movie coloring, because you have the like 3-color panel where it's just white, black, and red. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. Magnezone, similarly, it's very blue. I did like pulling these because I do have a deck that uses Magnezone, albeit a kind of bad deck, but it's a fun one to play. We're gonna put it in C tier. It's just not my favorite artwork, though. It doesn't really do much for me. It is a cool card, though. Next up, we have the Stitched Altaria. This one is really, really pretty. Really fun, like in a dollhouse. Gonna put it in A tier. Regardless if it's not like that playable, it is a very fun card. Latias here, you know how much I love T0. If you watch these tier list videos, T0 is my favorite artist in the TCG currently. This Latias is absolutely wonderfully illustrated. It's not his best work, but it is really, really good. Absolutely S tier. Next up we have the Goodra. This Goodra, not a big fan of Goodra. His artwork's not bad. It's not like, it's not great, it's not bad though. Like, it's just alright. C tier. The Ditto is pretty funny. For those who don't know, the Numel in Pokemon Go could be pulled as a Ditto, where you'd peel off the Numel and there'd be a Ditto behind it. So it's kind of cool that they reference that here, and you can kind of just see the one Numel. I don't know, man. He's kind of sus. He doesn't look like the other Numel. Pretty fun card, B tier. Honestly, though, I think I like the Ditto from the reprint from the set that they put in here is kind of actually a cooler card, honestly, art-wise. I like that he's like Ditto covering up the whole camera. Looks like he's about to like land on your face. Next up we have the Dunsparce. This one is pretty, not my favorite, but it is nice. Nice C tier, average. There's a lot of cool details in the background of this one, I will say. So if you're for a person who just loves looking at things and just finding details in the background, this one's for you. Next up we have the Miltank in front of the whole platter of food here. This one's alright. I'm going to put it at C tier as well. Not my absolute favorite, honestly. I do like Miltanks. I do love playing stall decks, but it's just alright. It's definitely better than the regular Miltank. It's got some nice colors to it, but I do think I would have preferred, like, you know, if this was a character rare and we got like Whitney and Miltank, I'd be a little bit more excited. Next we have the Beebs. Beebs here chewing on a log in like this weird, like, kind of like diorama look at this, like from an x-ray, where he's in his little house, he's got little holes in there. It's like kind of neat. It is drawn by Amelacart, the same person who did the wonderful items in the set. And while I absolutely love the items they drew, this one doesn't do too much for me. Just gonna put it at C tier. If we're talking about the Amelacart Ultra Ball, that's S tier though. The Amelacart Ultra Ball makes me very happy. Next up we have the 9 of them, 9 Koki Saito. They make up a picture, right? So you have these 3 are the top 3, and then these 3 are the middle 3, and these 3 are the bottom 3, in that order. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kind of like if you had the AR subset from back in the day, where you can assemble them and they make one big picture. However, I feel like that's honestly these cards' weakness, and I get what they're going for. In Japan, you can pull these all from one pack, and it's kind of like, whoa, they're all in one pack. I can make a picture out of it. But in here, where they're kind of split up, they're less cool, and honestly, none of them really hold their own merit. Like maybe the Pikachu, maybe the Riolu hold their own merit, and I guess the Mareep too, as like their own card, but like none of these right here, like none of these individually are as cool as like anything from like C and above, right? Like even Toxtricity, like every one of these is like cooler looking than these, because they're not doing anything, they're just usually sitting there. So as a group, I just can't give them that high of a score. I like Koki Saito's artwork, but I didn't really like this gimmick, and I wouldn't be excited to pull these from packs. I did pull a few. The only one I was excited to pull was Bidoof, because it is the optimal Bidoof to use in a deck, but honestly, like, they're just not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of the whole 9 cards that make up one picture, but they're all like not that good besides Bidoof. Kind of feels like a scam when you pull one and if you're a player. Next up we have the Leafeon V-Star Secret Art Rare. Just a beautiful card here. Very, very detailed and ornate background in what looks like a greenhouse or something. Maybe a plant shop. It's dipping its tail in the water. Really, really cute. We're going to put this up in A tier. Probably just narrowly missing the S, because I like everything in S better, but like it is a really, really nice card, and I could definitely understand if you ranked it S. Next up, we have the Shinomori Nageshi Entei. The second I saw this Entei card, I knew that people were going to love it, and I knew I was going to hate it, because, man, I do not like Shinomori Nageshi's art style. Probably my least favorite artist in the TCG, other than, like, you know, honestly, I think I like CG graphics, like 5-band graphics, more than Entei over here. So, like, honestly, I prefer the CG Entei over this. So, yeah, that goes a big fat F tier. I don't like that one at all. Shinomori Nageshi, you know, I'm sure there's a fan out there for him somewhere, but, or him or her, sorry, I don't know their gender, but it's not me. I'm not that fan. Next up, we have the Goofy Simisear. I was a little upset that Simisear got a V-Star to begin with. It felt completely unnecessary. Simisear didn't deserve a V. Like, I'm saying this is the biggest Unova stan in the world, that, like, even I don't like these monkeys. They serve their purpose at the first gym of being a really cool gym challenge where you have to face your weakness. But, like, I'm the biggest Unova stan and I don't like the monkeys. I think that says something about the monkeys. But it's not that, like, it's not as bad as Entei. It is funny for what it is, D tier. I think I'd be happy to pull it in real life just for the gimmick of it. In English, if I'm opening up a Japanese box of V-Star Universe, I want to pull, like, the best card in the set, because I'm a huge, like, favorite of some of these ones in Japanese. Would be sick to have. Next up, we have the Suicune walking along there. Was this Furusawa who drew this? I don't know. This one offhand. This one's just alright. Not my favorite. Might be a hot take. It's just okay. Is it better than the regular Suicune V? Oh, for sure. I believe the regular one was done by Aka Yoshida. You know, if I pulled a Suicune, I'd definitely use it in a deck, but honestly, it's, like, not that overwhelming of a card. It doesn't really impress me that much, to be honest. Next up, we have the Lumineon here. This card, it just gets better the more you look at it. The longer you look at this card, the more details you notice. It has Lantern and Chinchou on there. Chinchou is one of my favorite Pokemon. S tier, just the card is so great. I was able to pull 2 of them from V-Star Universe. Only really needed 1, because unless you're playing 2 in your Lugia deck, you're not going to need 2. So I traded away the other one, but happy to have the 1 to replace the alternate art. And the alternate art Lumineon was already, like, quite a nice looking card. So the fact that they made an even better secret art rare is incredible. I quite like it. Next up, we have Glaceon. This one's pretty good. Very, like, stark background. Maybe it's in the middle of the Hisui Wilderness, or maybe it's on the Route 216, 217 in Sinnoh. Who knows? Very stark, very white. Very fitting, however, not, like, doing too much. Not as cool as Leafeon, but still pretty nice. B tier. Next up, we have the Raikou. I believe this is done by Nagissimo. Not my favorite, honestly. Honestly, all the dogs are, like, just not that great, to be honest, and Entei is, like, definitely the worst. character super rare, or no, this is character super rare, these are secret art rares. This one's just alright. It just like kind of doesn't have a background though, it's just speed lines. Like if I wanted to look at this, I could just watch The Flash, I guess. Maybe that's what it's inspired by. I don't know. Next up we have the Zera Aura. This one's alright. It's really cute looking, but I don't like Zera Aura, and I don't like Zera Aura super big. If I'm gonna see Zera Aura like cuddle with a bunch of like rat Pokemon, I'd rather see it like small. The big Zera Aura is kind of just okay. C tier. Then we have this one right here, the one he's kind of going turbo mode. All the electricity's going all over, real like punk vibe where he's like yawning as he just destroyed whatever was behind him. This one's a lot cooler, A tier. I quite like it. Lots of blue and purple and illumination in this one too. Really fun artwork. Then we have the Mewtwo versus Charizard, the other side of the Charizard one. Honestly, I think I like the Charizard one better because it's illustrated by Oshiyama. And Oshiyama did a really good job making all the Pokemon in the background look really goofy. You do get the Diglett down there in the corner, which is pretty funny, but honestly, it's like not as good, so B tier. I'm saying this is the biggest Charizard hater too, that I like that Charizard alternate art because it's goofy, so take that how you will. We have Deoxys V-Star. I know there's like someone who really loves this. I watched a video where they were just absolutely raving about this card. For me, it's just okay. I do like Orbital VMAX, but this card is kind of just like, alright. It's kind of got a cool like vaporwave colors to it, which is kind of neat. So I can't give it like D tier or nothing, but it is just alright, C tier. We have Deoxys V-Star here, bursting through a bunch of like light beams. I do really like the art style, like the coloring on it, the way it's like shaded, but not a particularly like it's just alright, right? That's how a lot of these end up going. We have the Hatterene, and you're gonna see it's just alright. It is a nice Sui illustration. I really like the way that Sui shades the Pokemon with the painting colors and all that, but this one like could be better if it was like faced towards the camera instead of just looking away. It kind of feels like you're just like staring at its rear end, which is kind of a bad angle for Hatterene. Next up we have the Hataya Zacian, and this one's pretty cool. I'm going to put this up in A tier. I was pretty happy to pull that online, even if its usefulness is pretty limited. It's a very nice looking card. Next we have the Drapion here. Yukamori's clay models, just, you never would have thought she'd get another full art, right? The last time she got a full art-esque card was the Venusaur and Snivy Tag Team GX back in the Sun and Moon era. I think this one's actually significantly better though, S tier. This is everything I want from a secret art rare, is just to let the artists go wild and do what they want, and worked out pretty good here. And it's actually a pretty playable card too if you're playing standard. Next up we have Darkrai V-Star. This one is really cool, and I wasn't expecting that because honestly I don't really like love Darkrai V-Star that much as a card, but like this artwork is really sick. A tier. I'd absolutely love to pull this to own in my collection. Probably never will. Next up we have Samurott. This one is really nice, right on the waterfront here, just stepping out of there. A tier as well. I'm a little bit biased because I like Samurott, but this angle is really cool with like the mountain of Hisui in the back, Mountain Coronet. Then we have the super vicious looking Samurott here, black and red. What is Snover doing there? I don't know, but he better get out of the way. B tier, it's pretty nice, but I don't like it as much as the very serene and beautiful regular Samurott V. Funny how, despite the fact that Decidueye ended up being the best of the three, Samurott got all the attention in regards to getting a gold card and then getting these two here, despite the fact that Decidueye was still not good, but it was used in the World Championships because it hit weakness. Arceus, Pikachu, and Decidueye is like not my favorite deck because it's just a weakness box, but Decidueye did hit the weakness, so that's what it's there for. Next up we have Hoopa. I'm not a big Okacheke fan. This one is one of the weaker ones. Is it F tier though? Honestly, yeah. It's like not as bad as Entei, but I like all these more than the Hoopa. I don't like Hoopa as a Pokemon either, so it's like kind of hard to convince me to like Hoopa. It's just not that great, honestly. This is someone's Entei here. It's actually pretty popular to people. The reds are like kind of pretty. But I actually was like looking at this art when doing this template, and I was like, God, it kind of hurts my eyes to look at. Like it's a little too bright. My eyes can't focus, right? So I'm gonna be in C tier because that it probably would be like B or even A if like they toned it down a bit. It's a little bit too many like vectors of red going around. Next up, if you follow me on Twitter, you absolutely know where this next one is going. S tier. This is the best one in the set. This is still the best one in the set, even with all the other cards revealed. There was like 1 or 2 cards vying for like best card in Crown Zenith, but it's Regigigas by a mile. This is absolutely gorgeous. For anyone who doesn't know, Regigigas Pokedex entries talk about legends of him towing the continents, tying them with ropes, and putting them the way they are today. And in this picture, you can very much see him towing continents. It's very sad that in Legends Arceus we did not get to see Regigigas at its full power, since even without abilities they still managed to program slow start in for Regigigas just to, like, I don't know, piss on his grave or something. But I do quite like Regigigas. I love this art. One of my favorite Pokemon. Great art. This card is legendary. Next up we have the Hisuian Zoroark. Another absolutely great card. Putting it up in S tier. Sad I didn't pull any of these on PTCGO, so I'll probably have to trade for 3 of them, but they are really, really nice. Really slick looking card, a playable card too. I know it's not a big thing in Standard anymore, but you can still run it and expand it just fine, and it's still pretty good. Very cool looking artwork. Very excited to eventually use those in the deck. And then we have the 4 gold ones. I'd say probably the weakest of the gold ones is Palkia. We're going to put Palkia in A tier. It's still really nice. Just the weakest. Dialga as well, we're going to put in A tier. I feel like that's just fair. And the 2 strongest ones are definitely Arceus and Giratina. And you can see this in the prices too. Despite the fact that Palkia and Arceus are like the most playable right now and Giratina looks to be in the future, Arceus is by far the most expensive because it's just the best one. It's the centerpiece of it, and Giratina right below looks really good. These 2 golds are really cool, but they look disjointed from the others because you have to have them, you know, they're not the middle of the picture. If I had to put a ranking to these, Regigigas is still first. I'd say Comfey probably holds up as second. This as third, probably Arceus and Giratina like 4th and 5th. And then after that, you know, I think I'm going to put this above those, yeah. I feel pretty confident in this ranking. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I'd probably rank these. You get like a top 10 here with an honorable mention. You can like choose. These are all like, these 4 are kind of all equal. Yeah, that's my tier list. I'm talking about all the Crown Zenith secret art rare and art rare cards. If you'd like to do the tier list, obviously you can check it out in the description down below. Do it yourself. Maybe disagree with me. You probably disagree with me. You're probably a huge Entei fan and just are molding that I don't like Entei. That's your problem. My opinions are objectively correct and yours are wrong. Thank you guys so much for watching though. Subscribe if you want to see more tier lists and retro tabletop content, which I upload every single Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.